What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. It's your boy D Dyson. Now, I wanted to talk about Mindhunter Season 2. Just got done with it last night, and all I can say is that I wish I could have finished it sooner. I know we had, family stuff, people bothering us. So, yeah, I wanted to finish it, but it made it a binge-worthy show. I haven't had a binge-worthy show on Netflix in quite some time. And even with Mindhunter Season 1, I was so upset that they took a very long time to come out with Season 2. But nevertheless, it was so good. I must give this a 10 out of 10 because I really love Mindhunters. As profiling serial killers, understanding why they do the things that they do, and then they're still on the BTK killer. And I loved how it opens up with being that the BTK killer was holding himself or choking himself and seeing that his wife is like, what the hell are you doing? And I love that aspect because it's showing how demented and deranged a serial killer really is, how their process of thinking is. And just like what Holden said, they're more of a sexual deviant. That's what makes them do what they do. So you got to see that unfold full force into what they are trying to portray. I love that. So I still love that fact that they centered Mindhunter Season 2 around the Atlanta child murders. I love that because that was something that I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. A lot of people didn't understand, didn't really know too much about, but it was going on. And I love that, you know what I'm saying? Because Season 1, you got to see how they derived and came about as far as profiling serial killers. Season 2, you got to see them still profile a serial killer, but now you get to see them use that profile to try to catch a serial killer or who's doing the Atlanta child murders. So I love that aspect. And the fact that you got to see, and it just first off, it starts with even Holden in a mental hospital. Ever since when Ed Kemper gave him a hug at the end of Season 1, he went to a panic attack. So now he's dealing with, he has panic attacks. I love that when it started with that. And then the aspect of he has to start taking Valium for his panic attacks. And then you fast forward to his, the retirement of the FBI director. And he's retiring, but you didn't really know why. He was just like, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm, 27 years. And it kind of didn't sound like it was that long. 27 years isn't that long. And you could tell that he didn't really want to retire at 27 years. Who wants to really retire at 27? So, and then once it gets to his retirement party, you then understand that he was forced to retire because of Holden and those tapes getting out, which we later on find out that it was that stupid ass dude that's in their little unit. He was like, "Oh, I give the tapes away. I didn't think that was it was unethical what we were doing." Made me mad. It made everyone mad that the dude was like that. But getting back to the retirement party, we get to understand why the FBI director had retired. And then even when he came out and when Holden was like giving that little thing and he just walked out. And it just made me laugh when, he goes off on Holden because Holden couldn't really take why he was retiring. And then he tells Holden and he starts going into a panic attack. And he was like, God, man, you really are a pussy. And I was just like, wow, dude. He was that mad at Holden for making him retire. And then you fast forward into the new FBI director, Ted Gunn, which I don't know. With him, he came off a little creepy. You know what I'm saying? He was so enamored with the tapes and hearing what they were talking about on the tapes. He loved to hear it. It made me kind of scared for a second because I'm like, dude, are you like a serial killer too? Just trying to you just was so turned on about what they were doing and gave them a bigger office space, gave them more funding to do whatever. And then he was like, yeah, what do you want in return? Well, I want to go see Manson. Done. And that was crazy, and this season, I loved how they got to look at the son of Sam and how he was like, yeah, I gave everyone that same sob story because it's crazy that it's 2019. And I look at AHC channel which is American Heroes channel, and then it's like you go see Sam Berkowitz, and they're still running that story of demons possessed him. And then here's Mindhunters when they give the FBI actual profile and was like, yeah, that was a load of shit. That was a crock of shit. And I was like, wow, like you really get the real confession from the serial killer himself. Like, yeah, I'm sorry, I got everyone food. Yeah. You know, he was mad because his life rights was portrayed into as demonic possession. So that's why I was like, you got to really understand why he was doing what he was doing. And then you fast forward to Charles Manson, and you see how Charles Manson. First off, I love that interview. That was like, other than the Ed Kemper interviews, I think Charles Manson really was the best, because at that time, Bill was dealing with his son, knowing that he's has those sociopathic serial killer tendencies, and he's dealing with it while he's talking to Charles Manson. And Charles Manson is really telling him the ugly truth of, yeah, it's not me who's really manipulative, it's you, because you want them as society, you want them to be a certain way and do this when they're actually not that, but you force it down their throats, and then they end up, you know, when they get a little bit of freedom, they want to start killing and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. All they need is a push. And you see how manipulative Charles Manson is. And I was like, that's how he got those girls and that dude to commit those murders, because he's a real good talker. He can talk his ass off, a hippie talker. Like and I was like, whoever portrayed him, and I know they said it was the same actor in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, portrayed him very well. That dude should definitely be in the talks of having a Charles Manson biographic movie. Like, I would love to see that, like, just to see how that dude really embodies Charles Manson. And fast forward to the Atlanta child murders, and I love how they really dive into that, because you really get a full spectrum of how the FBI is trying to handle these child murders in Atlanta, and how many factors is portraying in this. Like, how many factors is involved in this. You have political involvement, you have racial involvement, you have it's massive. It's massive on so many different sides. How the mayor doesn't want any bad attention coming to Atlanta because he was building the airport for Atlanta as an international airport. You got FBI trying to really be involved, and Holden is really, you know, has taken into effect ever since Tanya had got him from the Omni Hotel. He's really I really want to solve this case, because this is something that, you know, it's not really being talked about on the news, and he really was trying to help. And you see, and just like a black mother, you know, they're really, especially in that time, you know what I'm saying? It's like, they're not really getting the satisfaction or the care for the case that they actually need. And they're right, you know, so they're taking the action on their own, like, hey, it's our kids that are going missing, so we have to take action, because the police is not, FBI is not. So it's like, because it's a black kid. If it was a white kid, then yeah, it would have been, you know, all hands on deck. But because it's black kids that are being murdered, they had to really take that full stance. So I love that aspect, and Holden is finally getting a grips and coming to terms that it's not like Virginia, it's not like DC, or it's not like anywhere else you've been. It's in the South. It's totally different. You know, so I love that aspect, and he has to come to terms with it is that aspect, but he's still trying to do everything he can. And meanwhile, Bill and his wife, with his son witnessing that murder of the toddler or the baby, you know, it's taking a toll on his marriage, because he's going back and forth to Atlanta, you know, and having to deal with all that stuff at home with his wife, the social workers, going through all that. And then I love the fact that the doctor, I think her name is like Mary, and she's like their comfort, you know, as far as them two talking to each other. Like, Bill's really confiding in her about his stuff going on at home, but they never dove deep into what he's feeling, you know. And I love Mary's aspect, because I really feel like they should do a lot more with their character. Even with that stupid dude who messed up that interview with the serial killer, and Mary took over. But you could tell that it'll take a stronghold on her, because she's not used to, you know, telling the truth and talking to serial killers about it, by any people. Like, you're talking to serial killers, you know. So that's why I feel like it kind of take a toll on her. But I want to see a lot more from her character because I feel like she has a lot more to offer than just sitting behind the desk and just, trying to build a psychological profile. Like, I feel like she has a lot more to offer in this. And I hope they bring it up with season 3. Like, I really do. Even with her relationship with the bartender, how it just went crash and burn and went nowhere, because she has to come to the grip to who she is as a person and what she wants. And you can tell that that bartender got it out of her to be like, man, what do you want? And you can tell by the end of the relationship, she still really doesn't know. So that's why I like that character. You got to explore more into that. And then it gets back to Holden getting down to who's actually doing this. And if I'm not mistaken, that's what I said, me and my fiance was looking at it, that you saw the serial killer in like episode 5 or 6 when they were walking to the church. He was taking a photo, like, boom, he's in plain sight. So I was like, wow. So the last 2 episodes, it really starts expanding on Wayne, I forgot the dude's last name, as being the child killer in Atlanta. And it wasn't really proved. You could tell the dude was really creepy, and he was really, something about him is just like, yeah, I really think you did it, dude. Like, I really think you had something to do with this, because you were acting weird as shit, and I don't like it. So I really feel at the end, they got him for the 2 adult murders, but they said after he got apprehended, the child killing stopped. So you can tell that he had something to do with that. And I was upset because when Holden went back to the mothers in that diner, they were like, yeah, it's a victory lap. That means case closed. That means he's not even the dude that killed my son. I'm still looking for the person who actually killed my son. And they were like, yeah, that's known as a victory lap. That means case closed. And as he gets back to the department, they were like, hey, yeah, this guy, we had 2 pedophiles that was in here that nobody even mentioned or talked about. And they had pictures of young white kids as well as blacks, and nobody talked to them. So I was just like, wow, like and when it got to that, Holden was still like, well, yeah, we're still going to investigate the kids. Don't even worry about that. He gets back to Virginia, and then you see the DA. It's like, yep, case closed. We got the guy. We're done. The mayor was like, yep, we got the guy. We're done. And you can tell, even in that conversation, when Holden, before he left Atlanta, was like, the DA, the district attorney or somebody, the commissioner, has switched some stuff around. So they left these guys alone. So that brings me, and to me, in those times, it made me think about True Detective. I don't know if you guys ever watched True Detective on HBO with season 1, about this huge pedophile ring. And that they were on the clips of uncovering it, knowing that it's a huge pedophile ring with a lot of rich people, a lot of wealthy people, and a lot of people that's in power. And they were always on the tiptoes of things. And then as soon as somebody got close, either they end up getting killed, or somebody of power changed everything up to where it left the pedophile ring alone. So Holden, I felt like Holden was on the verge of unlocking that, but the DA came on the news and was like, yep, we're done. Case closed. We got the guy. And I'm happy, because I was really, when I watch these things, I always want to look up the actual person, the real person. So when I saw Mindhunter 2 season 2 on Google, they were saying that they're going to reopen the Atlanta child murders. And I'm really happy about that. That's what makes me love these stories, to shed light on these stories so people can understand and be more involved. They give more information to the viewer to understand, hey, this needs to be solved. I love that aspect. David Fincher did a phenomenal job. Please don't take another 2 years to make another Mindhunter. I know you're busy. I know you're making movies, but don't make it another 2 years before Mindhunters comes out again. Like I said, I love this. It's based off I forgot the James Douglas Mindhunters, because it's the actual guy who plays Holden Ford, and those are based off actual people, but they're just 2 different names. And he has a series of books Mindhunter is just one of them. So I'm like, yeah, you have a lot of material to go off on. I love that. I really do. Mindhunters, 10 out of 10. Let me know what your guys' favorite episode, what part of Mindhunters that you guys liked, and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and again, post, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. So, if you guys enjoyed my review, you already know what to do. It is your boy, D Dyson. Peace.